first thing that we need to use 1-point perspective to make our house is a horizon line. And I'm using the ruler, but remember that your horizon line does not have to be perfectly straight. Okay, you could just draw it and it could have a little bit of a dip in it, a little bit of a hill, and that would be totally fine. Then we need a vanishing point. This is the point where all of our lines going into the distance are receding and vanishing, basically disappearing. So remember that basically what we're doing here is fooling the eye. This is how we as artists are kind of like magicians, and we're tricking people. So then we're going to make our road that's coming into the foreground. These are just first steps pretty much every time. So if you like this technique and you want to work with it more, get used to doing this. This is pretty much every time. Okay. Now, one thing that I really want you guys to learn is how to make just a simple house with 1-point perspective. So we're going to make our house over here, and we're starting with it very flat, looking at, like facing us. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so the house is going to be facing us, and I know I want my horizontal lines to be parallel to the bottom of the page, and my vertical lines to be parallel to the side of the page. That is very important in order to keep things from looking like they're falling over. Now, you can't always be 100% certain unless you measure it. Now, I could take it this way, and I could measure this distance here and this distance here, but we're not going to do it like that. What I want you to get used to doing is just kind of eyeballing it. And one good way to do that is to start with your ruler lined up along the edge of the paper, and then just moving it back kind of at the same rate until you hit the point where you need to draw a line. And I'm just kind of gonna look at it, see if that looks about right. Come up. I really didn't mean to come up that high. Okay. And then I'm gonna do the same thing over here. I can kind of just scoot my ruler back, moving it at about the same rate, making sure it looks pretty straight. You can usually tell after you draw it. Okay, and then I'm going to cut this square off right here. I want this line to be parallel to the top and bottom of the paper. Okay, now you could use a tracer for this or a stencil. So we have a lot of those handy. If you want to do that, you can do that as well. And I'm going to make a simple roof for my house. Just a triangle. So very simple flat shapes. Square, triangle. Now we're going to make the sides of the house. Since these sides are closest to the vanishing point, we are going to connect them. So my ruler goes through this corner, and the top of the roof. Okay, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to keep this line light because I know that some of it will have to be erased. Okay, so I'm not going to make it too dark. Okay, now I need to decide how far back my house is going to go, because I'm basically going to draw the other side of this side of the house. And again, the line that I'm going to draw here has to be parallel to this line and parallel to the side of the paper. So I'm going to line it up here and just scoot it back, trying to move it back at an even rate to however far back I want it to go. So I think I'm going to stop right here. Sometimes you just don't really know until you draw it and try it and see what you think. Now to stop the roof, same thing. It has to be parallel to the front of the roof, okay? So I'm going to move it back until I get to this corner. It should end around the same spot. And I'm going to draw that line. Okay, so there we go. I've got the front and the side of the house, and then these lines are going to get erased. Those are just guidelines that I don't need anymore. Now, if you're drawing a door, you can keep that really simple. If this is the front, then the door is just flat, so it's rectangular, and you don't have to connect anything to the vanishing point. And then if I want to draw windows, I want you to do this so that you'll have practice. You're going to draw windows here on the side of the house. So in order to make the tops and bottoms of the windows, since they're on the side, they need to connect with the vanishing point. So I'm going to draw a line here. This will become the bottom of the windows. And then I'm going to go up here and make the top of the windows. Again, the line is going to the vanishing point. That is so important. Both of these lines, all of the tops and bottoms of windows, the sides of the house are all pointing to the vanishing point. Now to make the side of the windows, again, it has to be parallel. So notice that's what we're doing over and over again. Parallel lines and lines that point to the vanishing point. The great thing about these clear rulers is you can kind of see your line through it. I can see the line here through my ruler. So I'm going to do that. Go ahead and make that, and I can see where that line is, so I can kind of tell that I'm making it parallel. So I could do the same thing on this side. There we go. Okay, now that's a big window. So if I don't want it to be quite that big, then I could split it in two. I could draw a couple of lines here to become like molding that's sort of separating those windows like that. And then I can come up here and erase that little line, and now I have two windows there. Okay, so I want everyone to stop at this point, and I want you to take your clear sleeve that I've given you at your table, and you're going to put your paper inside that sleeve, and you're going to pass your paper. All right, we're switching these, so you're going to pass to your neighbor. If you have 3 people at your table, everybody's just going to kind of go in a circle and just pass it to the person beside you. Go around and switch. So everyone has a different person's paper, not your own. And you're going to check it. Okay, the other person, you're going to check the other person's paper. And I want you to check it by taking your ruler and lining it up with the vanishing point, and then line it up with the sides of the house and see if they are right on the line that they should be on. Make sure that their lines on the sides of their houses are pointing to the vanishing point and the roof. Okay, so we're checking all of this. Okay, mine are, and I can also check my windows. Super important, please check the windows, because this is just one of those parts that students tend to get confused, or sometimes we just kind of think, oh, it's not that important, but it really is. It makes a world of difference in creating that depth. Okay, so I can look at mine and tell that yes, it was correct. It would also be great if you could kind of just maybe help them by just looking to see if they are keeping things parallel. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I can see I'm at 2.5 millimeters. 2.5 millimeters. I might be off a tiny bit. Yep, I'm getting off a little bit up here, but I'm pretty close. Okay, so check each other's work and let's see how we did.